Hello guys, welcome back to a brand new video. In this video we will be doing another election prediction for Tulsi Gabbard versus Donald Trump. Tulsi Gabbard is not doing too well in the polls. She's polling at around 2% nationally, but she is a very unique candidate in that she is anti-establishment in all forms. She voted against the impeachment and she is anti-war in almost all forms as well. So we're going to do an election prediction for Donald Trump versus Tulsi Gabbard if she were to become the nominee. So we start off by filling out all the safe states for Donald Trump. That still would go to Donald Trump no matter what. All of these states down here: Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, South Carolina. That puts Donald Trump at 125 safe electoral votes. And then for Tulsi Gabbard, I believe she would get all these states, including Oregon. Sometimes I don't put Oregon as a safe state, but I will this time. New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, all of these northeastern states, as well as Maine's 1st District. And that is going to be it. So it puts Tulsi Gabbard at 183 safe electoral votes to Donald Trump's 125 safe electoral votes. So we'll start off by filling the likely, lean, and tilt states to either side. I think that Tulsi Gabbard would win Nevada tilt. I think that she has a lot of appeal to the anti-establishment that even Hillary Clinton was able to win over, but I feel like Tulsi Gabbard would still be able to win over the same voters. I think that from the state of Arizona, Donald Trump would win it by a tilt margin. There's a lot of people in the Arizona suburbs of Phoenix and Tucson that do not like Donald Trump and would probably like a outsider candidate like Tulsi Gabbard that goes against the Democratic establishment. And I think that would go by a tilt margin to Donald Trump still, with the trends and everything. From the state of Colorado, I think would go lean to Tulsi Gabbard. I think, and New Mexico would go likely. I think that this is kind of what I've put it for almost all the election predictions, but there wouldn't be too much change if Tulsi Gabbard was a candidate. She's a very socially liberal person, but not on all things like abortion. She believes in it, but not until the entire time like some of the candidates do, like Elizabeth Warren and everything. But I still think that she would win these states by comfortable margins. Going over to the state of Texas, I believe that Donald Trump would win it by a lean margin. Could get even closer, could go to a tilt margin because Tulsi Gabbard is anti-establishment and Texas really does not like the establishment. And so for that reason, I think that Donald Trump this would be closer, the state of Texas, than it ever has been before. In the state of Georgia, I think would go lean. It'd be interesting to see how much of the black vote that Tulsi Gabbard can get out because we haven't seen it too much before because she's only campaigning in states like Iowa and New Hampshire, not as much in South Carolina, where Joe Biden is kind of swamping them all out because he has the black vote. But if Tulsi Gabbard were to be the nominee, she would probably pick a vice president candidate like Cory Booker. So it'd be interesting to see how much of the black vote she can get out. Going down to the state of Florida here, I think Donald Trump would win this by a tilt margin. A lot of people are saying that this is a state that could flip, but I really don't see it flipping. It's Donald Trump's home state now. He has actually good approval ratings here, unlike he does in almost any other state. And so I think that even Tulsi Gabbard, when a good campaign as an anti-establishment candidate, she wouldn't be able to win. Nebraska's 2nd district, I'll put it a lean. There's not much to say about this, as I've said in other videos. It'll probably go to Donald Trump by a lean margin. So from the state of Iowa, I think that Iowa would go by a lean margin. I think this could even become a tilt margin because it went to Obama twice, and I think that they would like an anti-establishment, anti-war candidate like Tulsi Gabbard. And I think that the fact that she voted present for impeachment might actually help her. A lot of people are criticizing her for it, but I think that in the case of people voting in the Midwest and the middle of the country, just in general, I think that it would actually help her not having voted for impeachment. We'll go up to the Northeast here. I think she'll win New Hampshire by a lean margin. She's doing very well here in the Democratic primary polls, and the lead will definitely expand over Hillary Clinton, who was an unpopular candidate and who she doesn't like either. Go to Maine. I think that she'll win Maine at large by a likely margin, and Donald Trump will win Maine 2nd by a tilt margin. It'll be interesting to see how much appeal Tulsi Gabbard actually has to the Northeast because she has a lot of appeal in New Hampshire, But will she be able to get Maine's 2nd district back into the blue column like it was in 2012 most recently? And they also flipped in 2018 for the Democrats, but that doesn't matter too much. Going down here, we're going down to North Carolina. I think North Carolina would be a tilt margin. They really dislike the establishmentarians, like Virginia, which we'll talk about in a second, but North Carolina doesn't like the establishment Democrats. That's why they voted for Obama in 2008, but then voted against him in 2012. Also voted against John Kerry and Al Gore, the establishment candidate. But I think if they have a candidate like Tulsi Gabbard, it would be a much closer election. In the state of Virginia, I think would be a tilt margin to Tulsi Gabbard. As I just said, there are many establishment Democrats from this state, and they would really not like Tulsi Gabbard because they really liked a candidate like Hillary Clinton, but I don't think they would like a candidate who's anti-war and anti-impeachment like the establishment does, like in the state of Virginia. Going over here to the state of Ohio, I think Trump would win the state of Ohio by a tilt margin. Tulsi Gabbard's policies might benefit the Rust Belt the most, as Donald Trump says that they have, but I think that Tulsi Gabbard would be able to get this state by a very close margin, possibly even flipping it due to Trump's bad approval ratings here. Going over to the state of Minnesota, I think Tulsi Gabbard would win lean. Hillary Clinton did really well here, surprisingly. She was actually able to win it, although she lost Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Iowa. She was able to retain the state of Minnesota, which happens to be a more blue state. And so I think that Tulsi Gabbard would be able to expand the lead that Hillary Clinton got in the state and most likely win it by a lean margin. Going back over here to Pennsylvania, I think that she'd win it by a tilt margin. I think that she'd be able to get enough of the city and suburb vote out in Pennsylvania to push herself over the top, and I think that a lot of the Rust Belt appeal that she has, being anti-impeachment, anti-establishment, would push her over the top from the state of Pennsylvania. Going over to the state of Michigan, one of the closest states in the election in 2016, I think would actually flip by a large enough margin for Tulsi Gabbard. It would be by a lean margin, uh, and it would flip to the Tulsi Gabbard column because if you think about it, it is a blue state up until Donald Trump's 2016 election, and I think Tulsi Gabbard would be able to garner enough votes from the suburbs of Detroit and places like that to win the state of Michigan. And finally, the state of Wisconsin, I think, would go tilt. New polls have come out showing that Donald Trump is going to do well in the state, but I think that if you think about it, realistically, it'll be a lot closer than that. I said Trump will lead by about 7 points or whatever. And if Tulsi Gabbard was the nominee, the Rust Belt is really turned against the establishment candidates, and that's what I keep repeating, the establishment candidates. But it really is important to think about that. Tulsi Gabbard goes against many of the Democratic votes. She votes against many general things that Democrats would vote against, and I think that it would appeal to people in the Rust Belt, and she would be able to flip Wisconsin, probably the last state called on that election night. It would be a very grueling election night, but I think at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, Wisconsin will flip to the blue column, and Tulsi Gabbard will become the 46th president of the United States with a total of 278 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 260 electoral votes. This would defeat the incumbent president Donald Trump, and Tulsi Gabbard would be the new president. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. As always, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.